SEO course for beginners, part one of two. You are now tuned in to an amazing room about how to use SEO and what the benefits are when you start thinking about SEO as a business. So I'm going to give you guys some time to get in the room so we can all be able to have an amazing conversation about this today. This is going to be a very exciting conversation, honestly, because this is where things begin to start taking place and we start to actually take form when it comes to really understanding how to use SEO, why SEO is important, and start applying the strategies from the jump. Because I definitely know one thing for sure is that if you are serious about your business and you're serious about growing, then this is one area and one focus point that you should not ignore. So I'm going to give you something that you can take home today and you can be able to learn more about how to take your business seriously using SEO. If you've never thought about it, if you have heard about it, there are things that you're going to learn today in this room that will help you take some dramatic decisions or take some informed decisions so that you can learn about yourself, your business, and how your business can take you to the next level, being very focused on the goal and how the goal should be. So, this is something that I believe should be of high importance to you. And you should also be able to learn and grow and be very thought driven about, the steps you're going to take when it comes to SEO. So before we begin, I just want to know in the room where we are calling in from, where we are based, so I can be able to kick it off. So the room chat is open. Feel free to share this room as well with your friends on Clubhouse. But as we do that too, just go in the room chat and let me know what city, what state, what country, where you calling in from, where you guys tapping in from. I haven't been on Clubhouse in a while doing a room, so I'm pretty excited to be here again, just to help you guys understand some core concepts and what's been happening in the SEO world. So if you're in the room, feel free to go to the chat and, leave a comment. Let me know what state, what city, where you are from right now so we can be able to, shout you out and, stay in contact with you as well. Jackie from Williamsburg, Virginia, thank you for being here. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that, I'm able to connect with people all around the world. So it's something that I'm really, really happy to see. And yeah, it's always a pleasure and always a great time to be here and always connect with you guys. So that's usually why I'm excited to be on Clubhouse, because you never know who you meet. And I've met amazing people on this app. So SW from Taiwan, Taipei, thank you for being here. Gaurav from India, Mumbai, thank you for being here. Claire from Berlin, Germany. This is international. Mark is is an airplane flying above Indiana. You see, Chrissy from Philly. You see, everybody's everywhere, and I really appreciate it because I know we're not we're not in the same, we're in the same room, but we're not in the same place. So I know that that is something I really cherish, and I'm so excited that I'm able to be sharing this amazing moment with you as well. Weru from Nairobi, Kenya. It's good to see you, man. Cassandra from Sacramento, California. Thank you for being here. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for letting me know. The few of you who have let me know, I really appreciate it as well. Alexander from Nigeria, thank you so much for being in this room. If you guys haven't followed me before or connected with me before, please do so today and, stay in touch with me so we can be able to have amazing conversations even after this room closes, because this room will be live for the next 50 minutes. So even after the room closes, feel free to stay connected with me. And, Ms. Me from UK, thank you for being here. We're an international room, so I'm glad that you guys are able to be here with me. So let's get it started. Let's get this started. Okay, how am I going to start like this? This is what I'll say. Put a 1 in the chat if you know about SEO. Put a 2 in the chat if you don't know about SEO and would love to learn about it. Put a 1 in the chat if you know about SEO, you're applying it, you could be applying it. And put a 2 in the chat if you don't know about it and you would like to know more about it. So let me see what we got here. So we got a 2, we got a 1, we got a 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. Okay, so we got some 2s and 1s. Okay, so it's very balanced. Okay, this is great. Awesome. So I'm glad we have people who do know about it and the people who don't know about it. So it's gonna give us a good balance as well. This is great. This is great. This is great. This is great. Okay. So the topic of the room today is Learn SEO Full Course for Beginners. And why I'm bringing this up to you today is because I want to be able to give you some broken down strategies you can apply that's going to help you make decisions about what you're doing with your website, with your social media, with your business, with your brand. Anything that's regarding to online marketing is going to be fully based on SEO. So this is going to be a room that you are going to really enjoy. So thank you so much for the comments. Now, as I'm in this room, click this link if you would like to get on a strategy call with me before the end of the room, because by the time we get to the bottom of the hour around 9:30 a.m. Eastern, I'll change the link to another link. So feel free between now and then to click on this link and make those bookings so that we can be able to talk about it further if you have any further questions, that is. So welcome, Candice. Good to see you. I'm excited to also connect with you later on today. I have something for you as well. Just wanted to let you know since you're in the room as well. So thank you so much for being here. So SEO, let me break this down for those who know about it and the people who don't know about it as well, so I can bring us all together. SEO stands for search engine optimization. And what is that? Search engine optimization is the act of consistently producing qualitative analysis and qualitative implementation to a website or to a web page. And this is not a one and done. This is something that you do consistently because just like your social media, right? You post every day or you post every week or you post every month. That is something that you're doing to attract people, to build awareness, right? Now, with SEO, it's the same thing. You may not be applying it deliberately or intentionally, but there's a way you can be applying these concepts that can take your business to the next level, whereby when you think about some keywords that you want to, bring forth, that you want to be a part of, then you have to build content around it. So let me make this very simple. SEO is about building content, building pillars of content that can establish your brand as the known brand for something. So you can't be known for something if you don't have anything to stand for, if you don't have anything to show forth. So there are so many things that you can think about when you're applying SEO, because SEO is usually a very daunting topic. People are like, I don't know what that means, but I hear it everywhere. I need it, but I don't know how to start. I don't know who I need to talk to. There's so many things that to consider before you even invest or commit to something or someone. So when you're thinking about SEO, you should be thinking about how best can my content be seen? How best can my content be pushed? How best can my content be delivered? Now, when you think about SEO, right, there's some things I kept because I was very ready for this room today. And I wanted to be able to bring to your attention some things that you would need to think about when you have SEO in mind. Now, you can write this down, or you can listen, or you can apply these concepts, or you can ask me these questions if we get on a call. In 15 minutes, I'll change the link. So SEO is one of the things that you want to think about. I've talked about it. With SEO, there are different types of SEO. There's on-page SEO, which means, and this I'm breaking it down very easily for you. SEO, for on-page SEO, it means whatever you see on your website, that is SEO. Let me break it down a little further. If you have titles, headings, pictures, videos, content, text, headings, logos, all those things contribute to on-page SEO. And the way it's structured out on your website contributes to how well someone can understand what your site is about, especially if you're talking about something specific and you're using semantic keywords to express that. So that's really where you think about SEO on page wise. Off page are things like reviews. So let's say you have a brick and mortar, or you have a product store, or you have an e-commerce brand, and somebody leaves a review and talks about that specific keyword or that specific product. That product becomes a tagged or a keyworded branded tag that people can be able to relate to. So if they're looking for, oh, I like this pan, or I like this whatever, it could be this meal, or this restaurant was amazing, or I went on this trip and I loved the view. Whatever it is going to affect your off page SEO, because off page means that you did not, it's pretty much the opposite, direct opposite of on page, because on page, you are the one that states what is on your page, but off page, you're not the one that states what's off the page, but you determine what comes off that page by what you've put on your page, if that makes sense. So that's really what off page really means. And then there's technical SEO, where it comes to speed. If you have any critical errors, what are you doing on your website technically that's going to fast track your, how do I call this? What do I call this? I'm trying to think of a very easy way to put it. Technical SEO is pretty much trying to debug or trying to analyze something that is happening on your site that you need to fix. And by fixing it, it could just be like a broken link. For example, a broken link is, let's say, if you click on a link and it tells you error for page, or you can't access this page because the link is broken. That's bad SEO, because now somebody can access that, and that leads to a bounce rate, which also leads to you know, a slower response because nobody's able to click through that. So you want to be able to fix those little things. It may not be too technical, and you don't have to think about coding. So when you think about SEO, there's no type of coding at all that you have to do for SEO. So when you think about SEO, don't think, oh, I have to code, or I have to write this, or I have to do some type of magic. No. All you have to think about is consistently putting your content out there for people to see in a way that is structured and in a way people can understand. That way, when they look for something through search, you are the first person that comes to mind because you've been able to create something for them. So that is really where you are building relationships, and those relationships are taking place because you have consistency in traffic, you have consistency in building awareness for your business. So that's something that you really, really want to consider and also to have in mind. Good to see you, Joanne. Thank you for being here. The next thing I want to talk about is content writing. This is something I want to dwell on for a little bit. Content writing. Now, when you think about SEO, and I appreciate you, Candice. I've seen the comments as well. You said, I can never get too much info on SEO. It evolves so much. Thank you for this room. Yes, it evolves. It evolves. And that's the beauty about SEO. What you learned last year with SEO may be the same thing as what you know this year, but it's going to be completely different because there's something new that comes up and you always have to stay ahead of the curve. So that is something that you really, really want to think about as you're building out your SEO structure. So when it comes to content writing, this is a major, major point of reference you need to consider. Because when you think about content writing, what I already hear is keyword research, keyword research, keyword research. And how do you conduct keyword research? Keyword research is pretty much based on you typing on search engines. You can type on Bing, you can type on Yahoo, you can type on Google, you can type on Pinterest, you can type on YouTube, and get to start seeing what people are actually seeing when they type those words. So if you go on Google and you type in something, you're going to get a type of result. Now, that result you get is going to be considered as content. If you go on Google right now and you type in something, you're going to see content. You're going to find content, right? Now, how does your content, based on your writing, end up on a search engine that somebody can read? Because when you're writing something, you're writing for someone to read. You're not writing it for yourself. If it's a note or a diary or something that you're keeping close, that is personal. But if it's something you're writing for the public, then you have to know, how can the public see this as conveniently as possible? And the first step that you want to think about is making sure that you have your website connected to Google Search Console. That is a major step. That is a major step. And that is something that you want to think about, consider, and apply when you're building your business. Why? Because when you have your website connected to the Google Search Console, indirectly or directly, you're giving Google a signal that I have a website and this website has some type of content that will help someone answer a question that they're asking the search engine. So, content writing is something that you don't want to ignore and you don't want to put in the back burner, because when you're using content writing for your business, you're ultimately creating avenues that are going to change your framework. Now, when you think about content writing, right, these are the things that you always think about. You always have to think about the file name, the file name, the file name, the file name, the file name. What is a file name? A file name is a specific description that you have given a picture or video within your local drive. And that is what is going to identify that specific image or video that you have highlighted. Now, if you have taken a picture or you're on Canva or you're on any other platform and you download this picture, even if it's a stock image, and I'll come to that later, when you're creating content, right, make sure that the file name of your image is renamed and hyphenated. Because if, let's say, I'm teaching you how to cook chicken, for example, how to bake chicken, let's say baked chicken, for example, and you have a picture of it, right? Now, you're not just going to name the file img_123.jpg or .png. It's going to be the title of your blog or the title of your content. Now, it doesn't have to be, you may have many pictures, so you don't want to do that because it may duplicate and that's not good for Google. So what you want to do is make sure that you're being descriptive. And whenever you're thinking about file naming, right? This is something I want you to really think about when you think about file naming. Number one, you want to make sure that it's as descriptive as possible, because if you are describing this within 3 to 5 keywords, 3 to 5 words, that's very good. You can go beyond that, but the shorter the better when it comes to that, because Google is going to scan or crawl it. So you don't want Google to crawl through a long line. You want Google to crawl through a small line. So the type of your image is very important. You have to make sure that your image is not heavy as well. If you're describing something, if you're using some context, be very descriptive in your context, because that way you'll be able to help somebody understand it. Now, I've talked about the file name. You also want to make sure that there's alt text. Alt text is known as alternative text. This is text that, for example, let's say you are loading up a web page. The image does not load. Usually, you're going to find some type of text at the top. And for those who use LinkedIn as well, this is also for something that you should also think about too. Whenever you upload an image on LinkedIn, on your website, on any platform, even Instagram, there's a section that tells you to add, Pinterest too. They tell you to add alt text. Now, if you leave that place blank, what happens is that Google ends up rewriting it or writing over or overwriting your content. And if it's something, if it's blank, Google is going to put something there because there has to be something. So if you don't put it, Google will put it. And if Google puts it, it may not be as accurate as you want because it's pretty much trying to scan what it's seeing. So it may say image about blah, 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 or this, that, this. So you want to make sure that you are descriptive in your alternative text so that when somebody reads it, it can also be captured and it can also be cached into Google Images as well. You also want to think about your captions. Captions are very important. Captions are very important. Captions are very, very important. Why? Because if somebody sees a picture, you know, when they say a picture is like 1,000 words, this is really what it means. Because if you add a caption to the image that is already having 1,000 words, then you're adding context to this image. And if this image has content that people are going to engage with, you need to make sure that your caption is captivating. How do you make your caption captivating? Start off with a question. Ask somebody, are you looking for this? Is this you? You know, click here to find more. Download this or check our link in bio for more information. You know, these are things that you want to think about when you're considering and creating these avenues for success. So you don't want to just talk about SEO and talk about business and talk about all this stuff without talking about the major thing, which is content writing. So content writing is not just, oh, I'm going to write a blog, or I'm just going to write a post and push it. No, it's really about what does this mean? Because a year from now, 2 years from now, whatever I wrote is still going to be relevant. So I don't want to waste 2 hours of my time and write something that's not going to benefit somebody in 2 years. You'd rather be very, connected to that and push it in a way that can actually allow people to find you. Now, another thing too is hashtags. You know, hashtags are very important. You want to have branded hashtags and you want to have unbranded hashtags. What do I mean? Hashtags are considered in those two areas, or those two components. So if it's a branded hashtag, for me, for example, I have a podcast. It's called We Don't Play. I'll be changing the link in 2 minutes. So make sure you guys click on this link before I change the link. If you guys want to get on a call with me, if you have any specific questions, now is the time to click on this link because I'll be changing it in 2 minutes. Now, if you have branded hashtags, right? The branded hashtag here is, I'm going to be very specific. Hashtag We Don't Play podcast. That is my hashtag on LinkedIn, for example. That is my hashtag anywhere if I'm trying to, create my podcast, putting out there on a post. Now, when you think about the branded hashtag, you're specifying what you're going to see. If you think about, I'll just give you an open example. For example, Chanel bag. For example, hashtag Chanel bag or hashtag travel destination or hashtag fly Delta or hashtag Nike shoes. When you think about those words, as soon as I kept saying them, you already know what I'm talking about because it's branded. You can already see it in your mind. You don't have to Google it because you have an idea. So if you're building your brand and you have content that is written that is applicable to someone who is going to understand or need you or need your service or your product, you want to make sure that you have that branded hashtag. An unbranded hashtag could be like, for example, flying, or it could be like cooking recipe. You're not really talking about a specific type of cooking recipe or a branded cooking recipe. It's something that's unbranded, but it's still semantically related to your writing, to your content, to your piece. And then you want to think about tags. Tags are something that you want to think about as you're building out your business, as you're connecting the dots, and you're also creating consistency for people to find you. So if you're doing this consistently, eventually your content writing is going to become very important for people to see. And that way people can really be able to connect with you. And that's when you start to see a difference in your content. Now, if you put out content consistently, people are able to connect with you at a consistent rate. Now, if you put out content and your pages are always updated, it doesn't have to be updated every day. It could be once a quarter. It could be once a month. It could be biannually. depending on how frequently you want to change it, you want to make sure that you have something that people can be able to connect with. Before I go any further, because we're getting to the bottom of the hour, put a 1 in the chat if I'm making sense, if I'm being clear, and then put a 2 if I'm not clear, because I really want to see, as I'm looking at the room chat right now. Amubode says, please, I would like to be an SEO specialist. Do you train asides here? Yes, I do. I do train outside this, and I changed the link for a reason, because I'll be talking about that very soon, so you can be able to take that initiative, and I'll talk about it very soon, so that you can go ahead and do that as you're in the room before we close out the room in the next 20 minutes. And for those who have a question, please put the question in the chat or raise your hand and let me know. So someone says, I can't get on the link. That is very interesting. So if you guys can get on the link, please let me know. If it's not working for more than 5 people or more than 3 people, then I think there may be a problem. But I just clicked on it myself, and it took me to where I needed to go. But if you get, okay, Candy says she can. So maybe it might be your network. I don't know where the link is. The link is at the top of this room. So if you want to click, just look at my profile, look at my picture, and then look right above. You're gonna see a link that says "Grab Favors Virtual Business Card." Click on that, and that should directly take you to my business card virtually. And if you tap on Connect, this is also for you, Amubode. If you click on the link and you tap on Connect, you'll be able to have access to the membership. So you can click on one of those membership options and complete your purchase. And you can be able to get access to SEO and other amazing resources we have available for you. So people have a 1. People put a 1 in the chat. Thank you so much, Edumari, Kemi, Richie. I appreciate that. Candice, thank you so much. I appreciate that too. I'm glad I'm able to make some sense, because I don't want to say something that goes over your head. I want to make sure that you have an understanding of what to expect and how this is going to play a role in your business as well. So we've talked about content writing, right? And I want to make sure that even as I'm talking about content writing, you know where it's going to. So the next thing I'm going to talk about now is content marketing. This is something that is big. Content writing is different from content marketing. And this is a major part of SEO a lot of people need to know. And when you think about SEO, don't just think, oh, I want to rank on Google. Google is like I won't even call it the last thing you should be thinking about. It should not even be a thought in the first place. You should be thinking about helping people understand the concept from what they're searching. And if you guys didn't know this, just because I know SEO is really big, there's a new algorithm update that Google just announced not too long ago. I think it was this week, because today's Tuesday. I think it was last week. And they said that, okay, I see. She said, they said that the link just works. Okay, I'm glad you saw that the link works. Thank you so much. I just saw the room chat. I'm glad you clicked on it. So when you click on the link, you now can tap on Connect, and you can check everything else there. My podcast is there. If you want to join our mailing list, if you want to be able to sign up for the course, if you want to start your 30-day free trial on Pinterest, it's all there. You can let me know if you have any questions, and I'll be able to respond back to you. So content marketing is very important. It's different from content writing, because this is why it's important for you to think about content marketing. Content marketing, I define it as a way to document your business prowess. Because if you have a business, right, and you're not doing content marketing, good to see you, Michael and Jill. Thank you for joining. If you have content marketing, right, as a cornerstone for your business, people will enjoy being around you or being around your business, because you have something to give. We've broken down what SEO is. We've broken down what content writing is. And now we're breaking down what content marketing is. If you can't do content marketing, then you're just doing content. This is what I mean. Everybody can do content now. Everybody in the world, including me, can pull out content from our phone, post it, and that's content, right? But content marketing is now when you become very specific to solving a need in a repetitive format. How do I put this out? When you have content, right? And your content is very relatable, it's also understandable. Somebody can be able to literally take your information and run with it. In other words, you have been able to create a proof of concept. Now, that is where a lot of things start to play a role because as you're building your content marketing, you're documenting your process. We're in August right now, we're about to hit September. When you think about content marketing, there are things that we're going to leave in August that's going to stay in August. And what I mean is, if there's a blog, if there's a podcast, if there's a post, if there's something you did this month, it's going to remain tagged within the month that you posted it, right? So if you're doing content marketing, your content marketing needs to be sharp. You need to think about infographics. You have to think about pictures. You have to think about statistics. You have to think about things that people can relate to that your business is talking about. Because as you're marketing, you're not really marketing and say, buy my course or download this program or do this or do that. That's not marketing. That's not content marketing. Content marketing is identifying the problem by stating it and then solving the problem by describing solutions. Now, when you are providing solutions and you're describing them in different parts, you're creating an avenue for people to understand you. You're creating an avenue for people to connect with your business because your business is like any other business. But why does your business stand out from the other one or the other ones? Is because you have something to offer and you're giving people something to see so that by the time they're looking for content that they're trying to use to apply to their business or apply to their need, they're going to use your content. Now, when you think about content, right? Content is free. And I say this all the time. Content is king, context is queen. When you put those two together, right? You create something that is very strong, that something that is very tight because you're now creating some type of flow that is going to allow someone to understand your business better. Because if I come up with content, right? Like for me, I have a podcast. If you listen to my podcast, you'll hear in the podcast all types of things. People have said that, my podcast is a high level energy activating, consistent platform where I am able to connect with people all over the world and they're able to tell their story. Now, content marketing is about telling a story. It's about storytelling. Storytelling equals to story selling. If you can't express yourself, nobody can understand you. When you think about psychology marketing, you think about the mindset, you think about the emotions, you think about those things. Some people are impulsive buyers. They just go to the store, they were thinking about going with one thing, they leave with 10. That is something that happens. But for them to pick those other nine things is because there was some type of interest or some type of desire for that. So if you're thinking about that for your business, how do you bring out content that they need? Actually, let me put it like this. How do you put out content that they want and then give them what they need, what they actually need? Because if someone is looking for cooking recipes, for example, let's say I want to learn how to, cook lasagna, for example. Now, that's what they want to know. Then if they need to know something else, you can tell them, hey, yeah, you want to cook lasagna, but imagine if you cooked it with this type of ingredient. Or imagine if you spent maybe 5 more minutes instead of you normally you'd be putting in the oven, maybe you can broil it for an extra 5 minutes. I'm just giving you examples hypothetically. So if you add other things that are elements to what they already want, then you adding that spice, you adding that little sauce on top, you putting pretty much a feather on the hat or the icing on the cake is where they're going to trust you even more because now you're not just giving them plain content. You're giving them something that has some context that they didn't know about. Now they actually want to connect with you because you have a brand that speaks louder than just the common person out there that's talking about what the definition is of how to cook. So it's very important to think about that when you're building out your content strategy. Now, we've talked about SEO, we've talked about content writing, content marketing. Now we're going to link building. And it's so amazing that Badly Mo just asked that question about backlinks power versus SEO. Which one is good for ranking? Now, I'll say this: backlinks or backlinking is part of SEO. It's not a versus, because if it was a versus, then it would be a completely different discussion today. But backlinks is part of SEO. So it's not like which one is good for ranking. You can't really decide which one is good for ranking, because backlinks are, there are 200 factors, by the way, that consider SEO and ranking. There are 200 ranking factors. So social media is one of them, backlinks is one of them, and there are many others. There are 198 other reasons why. So it's not really which one is good, it's really understanding how to use SEO correctly and where to place these concepts, especially when you're creating content. So link building is very important. That's what you're talking about, backlinks, because link building, there are two types. There's internal link building and there's external link building. Now, when you think about internal link building, when we talk about content writing, we've talked about content writing, content marketing. If I tell you, hey, this is how to cook lasagna, right? Click this link to learn more about how to cook lasagna in 5 simple steps. Now, when you click on that link, it's going to take you to an internal link. It's going to take you to another web page on the website that you're still on, that's going to have some other type of context that's going to support what you've just read previously. Now, external linking is now when you tell them, did you like what you read? Was this helpful? Follow us on Facebook, follow us, join our Facebook group, or click this link to sign up for our Pinterest, you know, follow us on Pinterest, or follow us on Twitter, or follow us on LinkedIn. When they click on those links, it's going to take them to a social media platform, but it's going to specifically take them to your web page, which is where your content lives on a domain that you do not own. So external linking is sending traffic to a place that they don't own, because you may own another website, by the way, don't get me wrong, but if you have 3 or 4 websites, you can literally external link to your other website, which is known as external linking, because external linking simply is sending someone away from your site to another site. So it could be your site, it could be a social media site, it could be somebody else's site that you don't own, but it's going to be something external that they're going to gain benefits from what you're doing. So let's say you have an article somewhere. Let's say you're featured on Forbes, or you're featured on Time Magazine, or featured somewhere else, or maybe you're on a platform that you don't own. You can lead them there. That's one way to do it. Podcasting is also a great way for backlinks, right? If you have a website and you have resources, and let's say those resources are available on your site. Now, when you go to your blog is going to have those content pieces, right? But if you have a podcast, for example, inside your show notes, you want to be able to tell people to click on those links, which will take them to your website. What you've just done is backlinking. Backlinks is not it's not a magic tool. It's another way of saying, how does your site become visible on someone else's site, that when they click on it refers them to yours? You don't refer yourself, they refer you. So if you have backlinks and you're growing in backlinks, that means, let's say you have 500 episodes, and in each of those 500 episodes on your podcast, you have a link that's sending people to your website. And within those link building strategies, you also have to think about something called anchor text. Now, if you think about anchor text, you know what anchor text is, right? Anchor text, it's like I'll be very simple, because this is a very simple room. When you think about your email, right? I'm going to give you an analogy. If you're sending someone an email, and you tell someone, thank you so much for your time, I appreciate it. I look forward to connecting with you, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end, you'll say, schedule a call with me so we can talk more about what we've discussed on this email thread, right? Now, where it says schedule a call with me, you're going to highlight that section, schedule a call with me, and then you're going to add a link in there. You're pretty much powering that text with an anchor text. When you think about anchor, when you think about an actual anchor, it's something that is like holding you down. If you think about a ship, they have anchors, they hold the ship down. It keeps it steady, it keeps it strong. So that anchor text, right, that text is pretty much the power word. And that power word is what they're going to read, that's going to create that call to action. Because when they click on that schedule a call with me, it's going to take them to a link that they can do exactly what you've said. So if you are doing that and you're specifically telling people what to do with that call to action in mind, then that content marketing and that link building strategy is going to help your SEO overall. So all that I'm talking about right now, I've not said anything about SEO technical stuff. It's really basic information that you can apply today and you can take home, which can help your business grow, and you can really understand how to put your business out there when people are looking for your business. Now, if you don't have your website connected to the Google Search Console, those are things that you may be missing out a lot on, because you're not only missing out on that information, you're typically not telling Google what your website is about. If you write all the blogs in the world and your website is not connected to the Search Console, and you've not even submitted a sitemap, then there's nothing for Google to track. Think about that Search Console as a GPS of your website. Because when you think about property, you're adding that property to Google, because they're over 1.9. They're probably 2 billion. By the time I checked this was like 2 months ago. There are over 1.9 billion websites in the world. 1.9 billion, but there are only 10 results on page one. So how do you equate 10 over 1.9? That's a huge percentage. That's a major margin. That's a major gap. So if you really think about pushing out your content, you have to think about link building. Now, there's social media promotion. There's also pay per click as well. If you think about pay per click, that's also somewhere you want to be able to, think about. Now, I want to be also specific on this topic, because I'm going to be changing the link right now so that you can be able to check this episode out. This episode, I'm about to do a new episode and publish it out today. But before I do, I want to change this link so that you can, in case you've never heard the podcast, this is how it sounds like. So I've just changed the link, and you can listen to this episode today. And you can also sign up as so you can get emails from me when new episodes are out. So SEO, content writing, content, pretty much content distribution when it comes to social media, content marketing, where do you place your content on, link building, how do you put your content out there, how do people find you, how do people find your content resourceful, and by doing that in a resourceful way, you're able to really connect with people consistently, because they're looking for you, they're looking for your content, they're looking for anything that you have, but they won't know that you have it if you don't display it, if you don't tell them, if you don't stay consistent. If you're not consistent, they won't be consistent with you. That's just the major number one rule of thumb. So with that said, put a 1 in the chat if you learned something new today, and put a 2 in the chat if you're still confused. I just want to know. Put a 1 in the chat if you learned something new today, or put a 2 in the chat if you're still confused, or if you're still not sure about SEO in full. So let's see. Nobody's putting anything in the chat, so that's pretty silent. Okay, let's see. So we have a few. Okay, we have a 1 now. Okay, thank you. We have another 1, another 1. Okay. Okay, this helps. This really helps. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay, we got a 2. Okay, you see, this is why I like feedback. This is all about feedback. So I really appreciate that you even said that. So because you have it too, I really want to know why. Because that's going to help me understand a little bit more. So I see, hey, Prophetess Monica, good morning.
Good morning. I'm just new to this, so I get kind of confused behind this. It's because it's really technical for me. I'm older, so I'm just trying to learn.
Okay. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that you at least you put a two in the chat and you let me know, because some people may not have a two, and I don't know. So out of what I know you said you just came in, but what is a major problem, or what is a major question you usually have about this topic?
Um, so mine would be is because I actually on my website I'm trying to learn this particular thing because I know this will help my website get seen. And I think this is the issue I'm having because I've been in the room listening, but I just didn't I'm just like I don't want to say I'm trying to grasp the concept because I'm not a very techie person, and you did simplify it a lot, but I'm just having issues with like trying to get my website seen and those kinds of things. So I'm just new to all of this, and you said something earlier, psychology marketing. So I said, well, maybe I'll just buy a book about psychology marketing and start learning it. But I think I need to learn about more SEO stuff because I'm not, that versed in it at all.
Okay. I would say this: the fastest way to understand all this, and Candice is right. Thank you so much for saying that you learn about backlinks, and terminology is also key. It's very important to think about those things, because when you are helping your audience find you, you simply just want to be on a platform that is existing. It's like when you think about your car, you know, or you think about, how you're moving. If you don't have a battery in your car, it can't really move. So your battery would be like the SEO, because people would, like, if without that SEO, without that battery, you won't be able to drive your car. This just happened to me not too long ago. I had to change my battery because my car just literally stopped. And I hadn't changed my battery, and it's been the same battery since the car was manufactured. So it was time to change it, because it already passed those 10 years. Now, if I didn't change my battery, I can't be able to drive the car. Nobody will see this car. This car will still be in the garage. Nobody will see anything. And nobody did see it until I changed it. Now, your car is pretty much the how do I put this? Your car is where people find you. So if you're driving, people see your car, right? So you need to fix your battery so that your car can be seen, pretty much. So if you are having problems with the technical side, it means that internally, once that is fixed, then whatever you're doing externally is going to be seen. So if you really want to see that happen for you, and build out that structure and build out that, you know, longevity, then your battery needs to have that long life. It needs to have that longevity, which means that you need to have it placed so that it can receive those signals, so that every part of your car is also able to connect, and people can be able to find you accessible, because now you can drive to them, or they can drive to you. Somebody can click on your site, or they can click to you, or they can connect to you because it's a backlink. You're accessible, in other words. So those few steps, because usually we have an SEO checklist to go by. And if we notice that, okay, you've not connected your website to the search console, you've not done this, you've not done that, then those are the things that we'll tackle first. So that when we have that foundation, it sets you up just like a house. If you don't have a blueprint to your house, and you're building your house, and you're not building it on a strong foundation, it's going to take a short amount of time before that house collapses. Something's going to happen. But if you have a house that has a strong blueprint, and it's taking you some years to really build that foundation, then by the time it's established, it can last forever until it's renovated or rebuilt or something happens. Same thing with SEO. If you don't have your website connected to the search console, which is for free, Google does not Google does not even ask you to pay them. They give it to you for free, because they know that your website is going to support what their mission is which is to make sure that they can give the best possible answer to the person looking for that content specifically through that search engine. So if you like more information, I would highly suggest that we can get on a call by you just clicking the link up top and scheduling a call with me so that I can see, really help you understand what the concept is, because this call is usually majorly on clarification, because there are so many things that are happening. People are doing so many different types of things and you don't know who to trust, you don't know who to connect with. But in this call, we make sure that in those 30 minutes, you have an understanding of what to do next. You may not want to take that next step right away. And I understand you may be very ready to take it the next step and we kick it off. That's great. But after that call, you will gain a lot of clarity, which will give you an informed decision about what to do next. So does that help at least, Prophetess Monica?
Yes, it does, and I appreciate that because you're absolutely right. It's you don't know who to trust because there's so many people doing stuff that and I've been just sitting back watching, but I gotta move this thing along. So I'm gonna do that. Take your advice and get on a call with you and see where we can go from there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And I've also just given you a follow. Yes, I've just given you a follow so that, we can always stay in touch and you can always stay connected with me, because this is why I'm here to make sure that, you don't go through that process. Some people have gone through 5, 6, 7 people to find that one person that they can stick with forever or for a long time, because SEO can be really daunting, especially if it's new. And it's also quite expensive in a way, because something I got to learn about SEO, because I always learn something new. I don't know everything. I'm not like the best, but I consider myself as someone who has that knowledge to help someone. So I'm not going to say, oh, I'm the best out here, come with me. I will give you what I have to the best of my ability, because I've seen it work for others and I'll make sure it works for you too. But with SEO, when people ask, is SEO a waste of money? The short answer to this, and I've seen this online as well, is SEO does work and it can really grow your business, especially if you're offering something of value as a company. You can get a major positive ROI in a long term. But the reality is that it could also be very much a waste of your money if it's done incorrectly. And a lot of people do it incorrectly because you don't know what to start with, you don't know where to go. There's no pattern. People are just winging it, and you can be spending a lot of money and you don't know what's going on, and then it's a waste, and you're like, oh, this thing doesn't work. But yet there are 3.5 billion people that search a day on Google, and you could be one of those people that people could find if you have that connected and corrected properly on your search engine, which could be Google, it could be Bing, it could be Yahoo, it could be Pinterest, it could be YouTube. These are all search engines that we all use. Today, at least somebody here in the room has used Google before, or you may use Google before the end of the day. You're going to search for something. And when you find it, you're going to stay there. You're going to connect with people. So Google is not going anywhere. It's a free tool. But you want to make sure that that tool is used correctly and the people you're using with are doing it in a way that is also beneficial to your business going forward. So thank you so much for that, Prophetess Monica. I appreciate that. And I look forward to connecting with you too as well. For those who are in the room, even for Kaleem as well, who just said he's a demand gen marketer and this is quality info. I really appreciate you for that. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here with me and just learning about SEO, because this is a topic that is very, very important. And I know that it's going to really go deeper, because this is part one of two, and there's going to be part two of two. So part two of two is going to be even more in depth. So this is just like surface level, and part two of two is going to be really, really intense. So if you want me to bring part two of two back, because I'm going to think about doing that this week, possibly tomorrow, really. But if you want to see part two of two of this same course or this, you know, tutorial, put a one in the chat. Put a one in the chat if you're in the room and you would like to be part of this part two of two. I just want to see the people in the room who would want to actually, because I don't know if you guys need a part two. I just did this to make sure that I can identify that. So if you do want a part two, put a 1 in the chat. Okay, I'm looking at the chat right now. It's growing. Okay. And some people are putting ones twice. So that means you really, really want to be here. Okay. Great, 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 great. So I'm going to make sure that I am here tomorrow so that we can be able to handle this correctly. And it's going to be a very exciting room. So tomorrow's room is going to be from 10 a.m. Eastern. Like it's 10 a.m. right now Eastern. So it's going to be at 10 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. So after this room closes, I'm going to put it in the event. So make sure you guys tap on the bell so that you can be able to be part of it as well. And I also noticed that, it can be very early for some people, but because it's 10 a.m., I know it's going to be like 7 a.m. somewhere, Pacific time, or it's going to be 9 a.m., Central time, and the list goes on. And we're also international too. So I'm sure 10 a.m. is much better. So I'll be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, God willing, and I'm going to bring part 2 of 2, and it's going to be a little bit deeper than what I've done today. But make sure that you guys listen to this replay, because this replay is going to be non-existent by the end of tomorrow. It's going to be sent to the vault where you now have to pay for it, because where I actually place it within the membership, I add more things to it, because this is just an audio room, but I add more concepts to it so that you can be able to apply these concepts as you're listening to this audio. So thank you all so much for being here. This has been an amazing room. You guys have been so helpful. You've been so participative. And I really appreciate you for taking the time to be with me in this room today. I wish you guys an amazing rest of your day. Tuesday, August 30th. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I look forward to connecting with you all soon. Have an amazing, amazing time. I appreciate you too, Alexander. Anytime, I'm always happy, glad, humbled to be here. And it's always a blessing to share the room with you guys, because this is a platform that I love, and I've met a lot of amazing people that I've connected with just because of a conversation like this. So I don't take anything for granted, and I really appreciate you guys. So with that said, have an amazing rest of your day. God bless you all. Take care, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern. See you guys. Bye for now.